All right. Welcome, everyone. Hello, hello. I hope that you are having a nice day over there. Uh, Today, we are going to be having a new edition of the Build Out. My name is Víctor Muñoz, and I'm a developer advocate here at Metis. Today, we will have an exciting workshop with our friends from Cookbook, who will be actually showing us how to deploy a smart contract using their library. So it's going to be pretty simple. And I know that some of you have already been asking about how can I do this having no coding experience. So we have Michael today with us, who is going to walk us through how to go over this process of deploying smart contracts on Metis on a very simple way. So welcome, Michael. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Victor. Thanks for having me. Hello to the Metis community.
Amazing. So why don't we get started? Maybe you can share your screen, and in the meantime, I can tell people in our audience here that they can get ready. I'm starting to see people popping into the chats in just 1 second, and I want to make sure I can cover all of your questions. So just to be clear, how are we going to proceed here? Michael is going to walk us through this deployment live. So he will be sharing his screen and using Cookbook to deploy a smart contract. And will be here alert to all of your questions. I'm watching right now the YouTube streaming, and that's pretty much it. So let's give it a shot.
Sounds good. Victor, just let me know when I can get started and everyone can see my screen.
Yes,
Okay,
everybody can see your screen right now.
thanks. So, as we know, Metis is very, very popular now. So, we would like to show everybody the easiest way to deploy a token. So, we'll just use a simple ERC20 token as our example and Cookbook's no code deploy to get started. So first we'll connect our wallet to Cookbook. We have a Metis developer resources page here on Cookbook. So what we can do is add the Metis network to our wallet with just one click here in Cookbook. So we'll select add to wallet on cookbook.dev/chains/Metis. And then switch our network over so that we're on the correct network. Now we'll simply go to our simple ERC20 token page, which you can find by searching Cookbook, and we'll select our no code deploy option here on the right side of the screen. So now we'll have to set our constructor arguments for our smart contract. We'll name our token test. We'll make our symbol test, and we'll set our supply to 1,000 just to keep it simple. I'll point out that for tokens, you would like to set your count here to 18. This will give you the correct precision for your token. If you're deploying an NFT contract, which I'll talk about a little bit later, you would set that to 0. But because we're deploying a token, we'll set that to 18 and go to pick a chain. We're connected to Metis already, we see. So we select Metis here and we'll go to deploy. Now we'll pay our network fee. We can see it's very small here and confirm our transaction. So this has initiated our deploy, and very, very quickly we can see that our contract has been successfully baked on Cookbook. We can see the source code for our contract. We see some deployment information here on the right side, our contract address, and then we can go ahead and select Manage Contract. From here, we're able to read or write to our contract directly within Cookbook. So we can essentially interact with our contract right here in the Cookbook dashboard. So it's that simple. You find your contract, you select no code deploy, set your parameters, pay your gas fee, and you've just launched your first token on Metis. So this is a very basic example of how you can get started launching tokens on Metis. I'll also cover a couple of other options for deploying these contracts. Before I go into how to deploy them, I'll point out a couple of features on Cookbook that'll help you find the correct contract to work with. So in Cookbook, we have a wide library of smart contracts that are battle tested and ready for production. So whether you're looking for a token, you can go filter here in our contract search. If you just contracts at the top of the Cookbook page, you can find dozens of smart contracts for different tokens that maybe have different functionalities. If you need a token with a tax, for instance, you can find that here in Cookbook, and you can do the same for NFTs, and you can just filter down here by keywords, or you can search keywords in our search bar and find all of these different NFT sale contracts that you are able to work with very quickly. And the same goes for DAOs, DEXs, and a whole other variety of smart contracts that you may want to work with and launch on Metis. So I'll cover our page here for Metis. This is all the developer resources that you need to begin building. You just saw me add the network to my wallet in one click here. You're also able to access faucets for testnets, RPCs. The block explorers are all here. The bridge is here. So when you're getting your tokens to deploy to mainnet, you can go through there. So all of the resources you need, including guides. So if you need some additional help, you can watch these videos here. But let's go into deploying some more smart contracts. So I'll stick with our simple ERC 20 token for this, and we'll cover deploying through Remix. Before we deploy, I will point out, if you are interested in learning more about the smart contracts that you're working with, you can simply hit expand on the contract page. You'll get access to Cookbook's AI Solidity Copilot and Assistant, where you can ask questions in plain text, or you can highlight code snippets. So we'll highlight the constructor here and select Analyze Snippet, and our AI Solidity Copilot will explain that portion of the code. You can then go in and ask further questions. So maybe you can understand certain functions or portions of the contract better before you decide that this is the contract that you would like to work with. And as a quick note too, if there is a smart contract that you would like to work with that isn't available in Cookbook yet, what you can do is simply copy the contract address. For this example, I'm using FriendTech from Base. You go into Cookbook, you paste that address, you'll select import, and you can import any smart contract address that is verified on any block explorer across EVM chains, and then pull that code into Cookbook to work with. So if you're looking to fork a protocol or a smart contract to launch on Metis, this is one of the easiest ways to do it. We'll give it a second to import here, and then we'll be able to access all of the features available in Cookbook for this smart contract that we had just imported. So while we do have hundreds of smart contracts already available on Cookbook, sometimes there's one that maybe we haven't indexed yet. You can actually bring that in yourself and access all the features, including learning about it with our AI Copilot, and then opening it in your IDE or deploying it. So you can find essentially any smart contract across tokens, NFTs, DAOs, DEXs, or anything else that's verified on chain, all available to work with through Cookbook. So let's get deploying now, and we'll start with the Remix IDE. So we're here at our simple ERC20 token contract on Cookbook. We'll select Open in Remix. So just in one click, we'll open all of our smart contract code for the simple ERC20 token into our Remix IDE. From here, this token is already ready to compile. So we'll go into our Solidity compiler in Remix. We'll select Compile, and we see that our fixed token contract for our simple ERC20 token has compiled successfully. Now we'll go into deploying it. So in order to deploy this to Metis, we'll switch our injected provider to MetaMask. We are connected here to the Metis network. I already do have a little bit of Metis tokens. If you need Metis tokens to deploy to FriendTech, I would encourage you to stop by the Metis page here on Cookbook and then follow this link to the bridge to bridge your tokens over so that you have tokens to pay for the network fee. Since we already have our tokens and we've configured our environment in MetaMask and here in Remix as well, we're ready to deploy. So we'll set our constructor now here in Remix. We'll do a test for our name, test for our token symbol, and again 1000 for the token supply, and we'll select transact to deploy this. So we see that we have a small gas fee here to pay. We'll select confirm, and just like that, we've deployed a token again to Metis on mainnet. So from here, you can go into the block explorer. You can also find links to that right here on the Cookbook resources page in Metis, and actually see your token deployed. So I'll show you guys that. So we can see that this has been confirmed, and we can even click right here in MetaMask to see that this contract has been successfully created. So this feature is available for all of the hundreds of different smart contracts that we have available on Cookbook. It's not only tokens. If you'd like to launch an NFT, a DEX, your own DAO, essentially anything, you can follow that same exact process and do so. So now that we've worked with our no-code deploy and Remix, I will point out that you can one-click open all of our contracts in a variety of IDEs, but I'll walk everybody through deploying with Hardhat. So Cookbook has like boilerplates for Foundry and Hardhat. Today we'll just cover Hardhat. You simply select Hardhat here. It'll download a file for you. From there, you'll open that in your preferred IDE. I like to use VS Code. So we have, when you unzip the boilerplate and open it in VS Code, you'll end up with something just like this. We'll go into our terminal here and run the command npm install. And while this installs, I'll just note that in our README here, as a part of all of our boilerplates, we have a walkthrough that you can follow as a reference outside of this workshop as well. So one thing that I won't show as a part of the workshop, but just talk through, is that in our .env file, we'll have to put our wallet private key. This is the for the wallet that contains the Metis that you have to pay for the network fees. I won't show this on camera because it has right now my wallet private key. So we'll keep that private. If you need to learn how to do that, you can go into MetaMask, go to where your accounts are, account details, and then you would select show private key there. Copy that. There is a portion in the .env file for our Hardhat boilerplate that says wallet private key. You simply fill it in there, and that will be configured correctly at that point. The only next steps that we have to do are go into our hardhat.config.js file here. When you download it, you'll already see that Metis is configured. So you will highlight this portion of the code under networks and Hardhat. Starts at around line 40. And we'll uncomment that out so that it's ready for us to work with. So on Mac, that shortcut is command /. So this is now all ready to go here. And we are essentially ready to compile and deploy our contract. So next I'll run npx hardhat compile. This will have Hardhat compile my contract and get it ready to deploy. So we see that this has successfully compiled. Now we are ready to go ahead and deploy. So in order to deploy, we'll go into our scripts folder, go into deploy.js, and we'll set our constructor arguments once again. So you saw me do that in our no-code deploy, saw me do that in Remix. We're doing the same thing here in Hardhat. So to keep it simple, we'll keep it test. And this is our token name, token symbol, and the amount that we're setting. So keeping it simple there. Now we'll save everything, and we're ready to run our deploy script now. So we'll share this deploy script. It's available in coming soon, the Metis documentation for Cookbook, which will cover all of the methods for deploying to Metis that we talked about in this workshop. But I have it saved right over here. So I'll go ahead and copy my deploy script into our terminal. Give me one moment here. The joy of live demos. Okay. So what I did there that caused that error was not save all of my files. So just make sure that prior to deploying your smart contract, you save the .env, the changes that you made to the .env, the changes that you made to the hardhat.config.js, and then the changes you made to the deploy script. Otherwise, you may run into an error just like this. Once you've made all those changes, save them, we can see that our fixed token has been deployed to this contract address here. We can go ahead and copy that, go back into the block explorer, simply paste that in, and we will see that our contract here, test, once again, has been created successfully through the Hardhat boilerplate. So we do have support for Foundry on Cookbook as well for all of our smart contracts. I won't go into detail for this workshop for that, but we will, most likely do that at a later date. So these are really some of the best and fastest methods to begin deploying contracts, tokens, NFTs, anything Web3 related to Metis. Our no-code deploy, our open and remix and deploy through remix, and our Hardhat and Foundry boilerplates. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing for just a moment here.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. That was super useful, super clear. And I think that everybody in our audience was able to see how easy and cheap was to deploy on Metis using Cookbook. So just to remind you guys, Metis is a scalable solution of Ethereum. It's a layer 2 blockchain, right, that uses rollups to scale. And it is the most cost-effective layer 2 blockchain that there is. Michael was deploying these contracts. So let's see if people within our audience have any questions. I'm watching here some comments. They want us to spread the word. Yes, please help us do that because that's the way we can teach more people about how to get started with blockchain development, right? Another thing that I see is a comment in Spanish. So since I know this is my mother tongue, I'm able to understand what he's saying here. So essentially, making a token, it's too easy. We want to learn more about how to make, for instance, a DEX, a decentralized exchange. So I know, Michael, that this is obviously out of the scope for this workshop, but what can you tell us, like at a surface level, about making a DEX using Cookbook?
So at a very high level, Cookbook has the entire code base for dexes such as Uniswap or forks of Uniswap like PancakeSwap, as well as different kinds of exchanges. We have Hummus Exchange, which is a native AAM to Metis. So you're able to do essentially the same exact steps that I did with the token with all of those contracts for the dexes. Certain dexes are made up of multiple contracts and have more moving parts, so you just have to deploy those in the correct sequence. For Uniswap, for example, there's like a router and another contract that you would work with. As long as those are all deployed correctly, you can fork essentially any dex or exchange in the same format and way that I showed you with the simple token. And maybe we'll come together and have another workshop where we do something like that step by step at a later time.
Yeah, that would be amazing because we have all of these people wanting to learn from scratch how to get started, but it's difficult if you don't have like previous coding experience. But fortunately, we have these tools that can help anyone that wants to get into blockchain development. development to get started right away. And even if you are not into coding and just want the app, you just want things, you just want to launch products, you can also use Cookbook as well. I see happy faces, I see claps, and I'm super excited that we had this opportunity to connect over here and to have this demonstration. So they are asking if the stream will be recorded. You will be able to watch this for sure in the future. So no issues about that. So maybe to kind of close this short workshop, what we can do is that Michael, you can give an overview of what you did today, so that people can maybe prepare some final questions if they have any, because I see that some people might be tuning in a little bit late.
Absolutely. So just to recap what we covered today, we went through searching the Cookbook smart contract registry for the smart contract that you'd like to work with, covering anything from tokens to NFTs to DEXs to DAO governance contracts. You can find the contract that you'd like to deploy to Metis in Cookbook. Then we covered using Cookbook's no-code deploy feature. Once you found your contract, you can click a few buttons on Cookbook, pay your fee, and you've deployed your contract, and then you can manage that contract within the Cookbook dashboard. We covered opening up our smart contracts in the Remix IDE, compiling and then deploying them that way. And we covered downloading Cookbook's Hardhat boilerplates and then the changes you would need to make in order to deploy a token that way. So if you guys do have any questions about using Cookbook specifically, I recommend joining our Discord at discord.gg/cookbook. Our engineering team is happy to answer any questions that you may have. If you are looking for a specific contract, we'll be happy to help you. I'll be in there, so you're welcome to reach out to me anytime as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Michael. And I have like one further questions for, let's say, imagine that I'm a person that really doesn't know anything about coding, and I just want to get started using Cookbook to deploy some contracts. What would be the easiest way to get started? Was this demonstration of the token maybe the most easiest one, or is there anything else that you would recommend?
If you're a complete beginner and this is your very first time launching a token, I would recommend testing out the no code deploy, just because there's very little room for error that way. Just make sure that you're setting your constructor arguments correctly. Make sure you're setting the decimal amount correctly for token or NFT, depending on which contract you're launching. I would encourage you to use Cookbook's AI Solidity Copilot. It's there to help you. No question is too simple. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to test things out there. If you're comfortable with the no-code deploy, I would recommend opening in Remix and deploying contracts that way. I think that's one of the best ways for developers, especially new developers, to work with smart contracts. So that's kind of the order that I would do it in.
Absolutely. Okay, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. It's very, very useful information to anyone that wants to get started. People are grateful there. I can see it on the chats. So I appreciate that we had this moment to connect here and do this short workshop. Now, I want to remind you a couple things here, which is one, that Metis is an EVM component easily. So, you just have to get started here. And the other thing is that when it comes to the Explorer, currently I think that Cookbook is displaying Andromeda, which has been our main explorer over the last few months, but we are switching to root scan. So maybe some people might find that confusing, but don't worry, guys. If you have like any questions regarding that, I'm always there on the Telegram channel and on the Discord channel. So you just have to join to the Metis official communication platforms, and I will be there to reply to all of your questions. One final thing that I want to comment is that deploying on Metis is super, super cheap. You already saw this on the demonstration of Michael. And the last thing, before I forget, this is a very important thing, is that we are currently in the phase of testing the decentralization of our sequencer. So the sequencer is one of the most important components on the blockchain because it is in charge of ordering the transactions and centralize this. And it's going to be a process that needs the collaboration of everyone. And I can see currently the community participating on this test, and it has been an amazing response. And because of that, we are also testing this on Sepolia, and we are, switching a couple of things here and there. So you just have to stay tuned. And if something doesn't work for you, like I mentioned, and I will be there, and our DevRels will be there to help you through any complication that you might encounter, because we want to see more people building on Metis. Thank you so much. Thank you, Michael, for joining. I don't know if you have something else that you want to add as a message or maybe a call to action to the people in our audience.
Yeah, the last thing I'll add is one, thank you to everybody for joining. I'm very excited to see what everybody builds on Metis. To start your building journey, I encourage you to go to cookbook.dev/chains/Metis, add Metis to your wallet, get some Metis tokens, and start building and launching your projects using Cookbook.
Absolutely, people should do that. Thank you so much, Michael. I think that I'm going to check one more time the questions. I don't see any other questions, so I guess it was pretty clear and straightforward. And we will see you in the future, Michael. We already see some people that wanted to see some decks, so maybe we can work on that in the future. And right now it's time for us to unplug and get back to the rest of our activities. So thank you so much for joining. And don't forget to explore the possibilities with Cookbook, and of course, explore all of the possibilities that you have on Metis. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.